Hello, travelers and tourists. My name is Mark, and I am the local disaster tour guide. That's right, I am a storyteller with a plan. Is it a good plan? Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Welcome to a journey through the fantastic world of TTRPGs like Pathfinder and Starfinder, and welcome back to my series, How to Have Fun With. This is a video series that takes a look at different options in TTRPGs and asks what makes those options fun at the gaming table. If you pick this particular class, this particular concept, what is going to make that enjoyable and compelling in play? So in this series, we're taking a look right now at different classes in Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and this isn't looking at these classes through the lens of optimization. I'm not asking how do you get the most damage dealt, I'm not asking how do you get your save DCs as high as possible, but rather I want to look into what some people might call class fantasy of the different options and ask what is it that makes this compelling, makes this something that people might enjoy to play. If you want to have a good time with a class at your gaming table, how should you approach it? And in this video, for the second video in the series, we're going to be taking a look at the Inventor. Now, last time I started this series off by taking a look at the Fighter class, which is a class that I think is very effective in Pathfinder 2e, but that I often criticize as being a little bit bland. In that video, I asked you all what class you thought I should cover next in this series, and it probably shouldn't surprise me that Inventor was the class that was mentioned. You see, Inventor is a class that I think has a little bit of a poor reputation in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Back at the start of this year, I did a video ranking all of the class options in Pathfinder 2e, and the Inventor took a beating in that video. I didn't have a lot of good things to say about it, and honestly, at my gaming table, the Inventor holds kind of a memento of shame that no other class in Pathfinder 2e holds, in that it is the only class I have ever seen a player just say, I want to change my character, I'm not having fun. I've seen people lose characters, I've seen people change characters at different points, but the Inventor is the only class I've ever seen someone say that they weren't enjoying, and at the time, I couldn't see anything that player had done wrong. It wasn't like they were playing the Inventor wrong, and so it was a little strange to me and a little shocking to me that something Paizo had published fell so flat at my gaming table. And when I did that big video talking about all the classes, I actually got several comments back of people saying that they've had a similar experience with the Inventor, and that surprised me a little bit more. Like, when I made that video, I kind of wondered, is there something I've been missing? But apparently there's something a lot of people have been missing because the Inventor hasn't been clicking for a lot of gaming tables. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the Inventor and what I think Paizo intends with the class and what we can lean into if we want to have some fun with it. Now, a couple of caveats for this video. Number one, I've only had one experience with an Inventor at my table, and as I just discussed, it was not a positive experience. It didn't go well. I have not seen an Inventor played right. So in this video, I'm going to be offering some thoughts that are very speculative, but I'll be honest, I don't know if it will work. But that's where you all come in. You can let me know what you think of the ideas, and you can let me know if you have some positive experiences with the Inventor that support my thoughts or maybe open up some other avenues. And the second thing I feel like I should go ahead and mention, this video is a little bit timely because, well, right now the remastered version of Guns and Gears has been released. Now, I don't have a copy of the remastered Guns and Gears. It's a little bit expensive having to deal with surgery, so it's probably going to be another month and a half before I get back into my purchasing RPG supplies terrible addiction. I was going to say hobby, but we all know it's an addiction. So right now, I do not have a physical copy of the Remastered Inventor in front of me. I've looked through some of the stuff on Path Builder that's been updated. A really good resource if you want to see what the Remastered Inventor looks like. Jake over on the channel Wisdom Check has been doing some great coverage of that book, and he actually has a specific video for the Inventor and the remaster changes to the Inventor. It does look like there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. I would highly suggest, if you want to know the most updated what the Inventor looks like in the remaster, go check out Jake's work. He's doing a fantastic job. Hopefully, when I can get back to adding books to my collection, I can take a deeper dive myself. But even without a physical copy of the Remastered Inventor, there is still that question that has been put forward. How do you have fun with the Inventor? I've seen one of my players have a really bad time with it, and I've seen other content creators and other people around the internet say that they also haven't had a very positive experience, and that's really strange. Paizo usually produces really good content, and the Inventor seems like it should be a very compelling class. It's basically Tony Stark. It's Tony Stark in a book, okay? You build your thing in a cave, and then you go and you fight things, and you're smarter than everybody else, and you know it. Like, the Inventor seems like a class that should be so much fun to play. Why is it that people seem to be having trouble connecting with this class? And I spent the last couple of weeks really thinking about this question, and I have a few ideas. So, what I'm going to present in this video, and as I said, these thoughts are a bit speculative, but I think that a lot of Pathfinder players, including those at my table, have fallen into a trap with the Inventor in that we have misinterpreted how the Inventor should be played, and we're trying to play the Inventor in a way it was not designed for. And to set this up, let's begin with one of the basic facets of the Inventor. The Inventor is an intelligence-based martial class. That is pretty well known, pretty easy to understand. Anyone who is explaining the Inventor can tell you that. But the flaw that I think a lot of people make is when they hear intelligence-based martial class, what they hear is intelligence-based. We hear that word intelligence, and it immediately conjures a certain playstyle, a playstyle that, for the sake of simplicity in this video, I'm going to compare to the wizard. If you want to play a smart character, you usually think of a wizard. You usually think of a very deliberate, very studied, very focused individual who, with enough planning and forethought, can accomplish fantastic things. And don't get me wrong, I love the wizard playstyle. Wizard is historically my favorite class in TTRPGs, but I don't think the Inventor is intended to be a martial wizard. I don't think it is intended to be a class that is just the martial version of what the wizard does. In fact, I think the closest analog to the intended playstyle for the Inventor is actually a bit of a surprise, but stick with me here. I think the Inventor is closest in playstyle to the Swashbuckler. Now, on the surface, this is going to sound strange. The Swashbuckler is a dex-based martial class that is all about high-flying, daring maneuvers, risk-taking, gaining panache. The Swashbuckler is intended for a playstyle where you are doing high-risk, high-reward stuff all of the time. You want to tumble past enemies. You want to catch people off guard. The Swashbuckler is a very flashy playstyle. And if you think about one of my earlier illustrations on the Inventor, you may already know where I'm going with this, because flashy, larger-than-life risk-taking, well, that kind of sounds like one of the easiest comparisons to the inventor, Tony Stark, especially Tony Stark from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. When you think of Tony Stark, you think of a character who is flashy, who takes risks, who does over the top things, and who relies on their talents to keep them safe in situations where honestly they probably shouldn't be. Tony Stark has the mentality of a swashbuckler. But very clearly, if we were going to build Tony Stark in the MCU and transfer him over to Pathfinder, we'd use the inventor to do that. That is like armor innovation all the way. That is very clearly the right build path. And as I was thinking about this, I realized that, yeah, inventor is the right fit for a character like Tony Stark, and you can see that in the design of the class. And that made me realize that the inventor is very much a high risk, high reward, flashy, doing dangerous things and relying on their talent to survive kind of class. And allow me to give you a few examples. If you read through the inventor, you're going to read things like explode, or maybe unstable. The inventor has a number of different traits, and there's actually a third one, but I forgot to write it down. Overdrive, that's what it is. Explode, unstable, and overdrive. The inventor has a number of different class features that in their very title speaks to the idea that the inventor's trying something just a little bit crazy and hoping that it works. The inventor may not have the high-flying persona of the swashbuckler, but they have much the same mentality about taking risks, trying crazy things, and hopefully reaping the rewards of those actions. And I think that is the sort of class fantasy that you really need to lean into and embrace if you're going to have fun playing an inventor. When I think back to the player that was using the inventor and had a bad time at my gaming table, their playstyle was very methodical, their playstyle was very deliberate, and they didn't take a lot of risks, and they didn't try a lot of big things. And I feel like some of the best stuff the inventor has to offer really comes into play when you are taking some risks with the class. I think that's what the class is intended to do, and I think that if you're being reserved, I think the inventor loses a lot of its appeal. So my first point on how to have fun with the inventor, I think, is to really lean into that risk-taking style. You know, the class fantasy is that you have built something that nobody else can build, and you can only maintain it through constant tinkering, and any attempt to use it comes with a little bit of risk. It might backfire if you try to use it. You know, you are pushing technology to its limits. That's kind of what the class fantasy is, and so I think having fun with the inventor means being willing to play a character that is a little more risk-reward. So, that means if you're going to have fun with the inventor, you want to ask how you can use your class features to really engage in maybe a little riskier, maybe a little flashier sorts of maneuvers. With that comes some of the other facets of the inventor, and this is going to be kind of my second point on the inventor. If point A is high risk, high reward, well, I think point B needs to be plan B. Tony Stark was the kind of character who would fly his experimental armor into a war zone, relying entirely on, well, his skills and his build to keep him alive. But one thing we also know about the character of Tony Stark is he never stopped building. He had multiple different types of armor, often geared to different situations and different circumstances he might be dealing with, and you see this in the design of the inventor class. This is where that intelligence-based that I talked about earlier, if the martial class is the core, it still has the intelligence base to it, and an intelligence-based class is a class that's going to have a lot of different skills. It's going to be very good at recall knowledge, which can be very powerful in Pathfinder 2e. And all of this kind of leans into the idea that when you go into these high-risk situations, when you try these crazy things and hope that they succeed, I think as the inventor, you need to embrace the idea Plan A isn't always going to work, but hey, you're smart enough to have a Plan B. And again, I think that the class mechanics bear out this particular aspect of the class fantasy. You actually see that one of the class features, I believe this is, it starts at 3rd level, is called Reconfigure, which literally allows you to rapidly rebuild your innovation and essentially spin out new options to face new threats. So, if you're going to play an inventor, there's no reason you should rely on just one option, but rather have a plan A, have a plan B, have those contingency plans in place, because I think that that really leans into the kind of story that the inventor would tell. You are smart enough that even if plan A doesn't work, you've got plan B ready to go, and by the way, plan A is not automatically twice as much gunpowder as plan B, not ruling that option out, but you have the ability to adapt and bring new things, new ideas to bear. And again, I don't want to dive into all of the class mechanics here, but you can actually see this with one of my favorite inventor feats is the one where like an enemy attacks you and you're just like, oh yeah, you failed to account for this, and you pull out some crazy contraption that keeps you safe. You know, that is really what I think the inventor is intended to do. So, that's kind of my overall thoughts on what I think the inventor is intended to be. I don't think the inventor is intended to be the slow, methodical, just very deliberate playstyle that I often see associated with it. I think Paizo intended for the inventor to be a lot riskier, a lot more daring. You are a person who is willing to push what technology can do. You are willing to test the limits, and I think the fun of the inventor class is found in testing those limits. But those are my thoughts. The time has come for me to turn the conversation over to you. What do you think about the inventor class in Pathfinder 2e, and how do you think players can have fun with the inventor at their gaming table? Jump down to the comments section and let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you agree with my observations. Do you think that the inventor is like the swashbuckler? It's supposed to be a high-risk, high-reward style class? Or do you think that there's something else that I've overlooked? If you've had some positive experiences with the inventor at your gaming table, definitely share those as well. I would be interested to hear what you found compelling or what made the class so fun at your table. Also, don't forget to do all the other stuff that helps to support the channel. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. You can check out my free Discord and my Patreon. I'll have links for those down in the video description. And for those of you who are wondering, the healing is going well on my arm. If everything continues to go well, I should be transitioning from the cast to a wrist brace, hopefully in about a week and a half. So, things are positive on that front. Again, it's probably going to be March before I'm back to my normal edited video style, but I do want to say a huge thank you to all of the people who have been sending me encouraging messages and have been just checking in on my arm and encouraging me through this process. I really appreciate you all. It has been a fantastic experience seeing that support, but as always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation. Have a wonderful day.